Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And here in New York City, we're moving on to our next and much expected general session from Microsoft. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, if you're tuning to this out there on the World Wide Web via SYS-CON TV. Yousef Khalidi is up next. I don't know how many distinguished engineers Microsoft has got, but I have been told by little dicky birds it's not a huge number. So I really think we'd give it extra up for Yousef Khalidi, Microsoft on the cloud. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So good morning, everybody. I think it's still morning in New York. I have 30 minutes with you this morning. I want to give you a quick overview of Microsoft's efforts in the cloud, which span a big spectrum from a number of services that some of you may know to some new services as well tell you about our strategy of how we're going to move forward from there. And I'm going to try to be very sort of precise. So I'll be careful with my tenses, what we have today and what we will have in the future as well. Customers tell us a lot of things. The common themes that we hear for cloud-related stuff and otherwise, which is help me save costs, how can I have agility in my business, and how can I grow my business? Very generic questions. We're hearing more and more of them lately, especially the cost questions. And they typically dig deeper when it comes to the cloud and ask very bluntly, are you, Microsoft, serious about the cloud? You have a software business. Why do you want to even bother with the cloud stuff? If you're serious, convince me. What innovation, what investments are you doing in the cloud? How can you help me? So partly I want to tell you here today, we are very, very serious about the cloud. We view it as a natural extension of on-premises software. And we believe in a hybrid model going forward that will span the whole spectrum from on-premises all the way to the cloud. For this audience, this slide may not be as interesting. Why customers are embracing the cloud? Agility is a big deal. Technically for resources and the like, and you've been here for a couple of days, you've heard the story quite a number of times. With resource management, you can be quite agile, scaling up and down and so forth, which results in business agility, which is really ultimately what people really want. There are also new scenarios around collaboration, sharing, stuff you put in the cloud that all of a sudden available to a number of people. And finally, of course, the cost question, which is very, very important, but I'm not leading with it. I'm leading with the agility story instead. And we all know what analysts are saying. Do note, for example, Gartner's quote, where they speak of hybrid clouds. That's very much what our strategy is about. That is, spanning the whole spectrum from on-premises all the way to the cloud. For us, we have three basic tenets for cloud computing. One I mentioned twice already, which is the whole spectrum from on-premises, off-premises, and hosted clouds, where they could be hosted either by a company like Microsoft or by third parties. The whole spectrum will be filled up by our products. We do believe in enterprise-class quality. No compromises here. So this is not just about putting simple services in the cloud, although that's included too, but about truly enterprise-class quality of the software and the services behind them. Finally, consistent experience, which has multiple dimensions. For the user, for a developer, all of us have a big investment in developer experience, programming languages, and tools. Those have to be able to flow seamlessly to cloud computing too. And also operationally. Again, all of us have investment in IT professionals and the way they think of systems. And that experience has also to flow to the cloud as well. So to summarize, we believe in a complete spectrum and hybrid clouds. We believe in enterprise-class quality of software. The stuff you can buy today to put on premises, you should be able to get in the same quality as a service from us or somebody else. And we believe in consistent experience that preserves investment of what we all have been investing in so far. We have been in this business actually quite a bit of time before the term cloud became fashionable. And we have to admit, guys, the word cloud is very fashionable. That's why we're here, it seems. And I know it's vague, and I avoid putting my definition of a cloud and so forth. We are not just rebranding what we had and we call the cloud. Instead, what we have been doing for a while are a number of consumer-facing services, the top line in the slide. You probably have seen this before. Bing, Hotmail, MSN, Windows Update, Xbox Live, a bunch of others. Plus a number of infrastructure services we will spend much more time on today at the bottom. including Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and the Azure platform, which I'm going to spend the third part of my presentation on. To give you an idea what kind of scale we already deal with today, and I'll probably get some of these numbers a bit inaccurate because they're actually very large. In MSN, for example, MSN Windows Live, we have 600 million unique users per month. For Messenger, we have almost 10 billion messages exchanged a day. For our Windows Live ID system, we have 500 million active users. With that scale, you really have to understand infrastructure. You have to understand how to build data centers, global networking, 24/7 management of the infrastructure. We've been doing this for a while. The same infrastructure now we are using and expanding to build those services in the bottom of the slide. All these enterprise quality services, which I will tell you more about in a second. Many people, to be quite frank, take the word cloud, look at what they've been doing, like hosting, for example, call it the cloud, and we go around and we're doing cloud computing now. This is not what we believe. We believe cloud computing is a new platform that has 3 dimensions, and you need them to call yourself truly a cloud computing platform. First dimension is an application model dimension. For cloud computing to be true, you need your applications to fit the cloud model, which means they have to be scale-out architectures, not scale-up architectures. That is, if you want more resources, you have to allocate more instances of it. They have to worry about state in a different way. You can't just accumulate state and data on your local machines. The truth has to be in the network, or you have to replicate your state yourself. More typically, you put them in a storage service or a database service out there. And the model have to really be, the application model have to be service-driven from a sort of a topology perspective. You have to know who's talking to whom and how you can flex the topology up and down. So you can go map it to existing hardware in a cloud system. So apps have to meet the cloud and be scale-out type of architectures. Yes, we should be able to take a legacy piece of software, put them in a VM. I fully understand that. We do that too. But to truly gain the advantage of cloud computing, the applications have to be scale-out applications. Second dimension for us for cloud computing has to do with the hardware model. The hardware model is that of very large uniform systems, again, scale-out architecture. A given box in a given cloud system is, whatever the entry point or medium-priced server, and you have many, many of them. The model changes how you use them. You don't go and configure the box. You don't go ask for, I want so much memory, blah, blah. You have a fixed set of menu of options. The topology is basically fixed. You allocate resources based on what your application needs, but again, you have to meet it halfway. Why do we care? That's how you get cost reduction. That's how you get agility in the ability to flex resources up and down. That's how you can handle failures easily, by getting some other box immediately, and you go from there. An important point for this aspect, the location could be anywhere. For the cloud computing model to be true, it can be your data centers, it could be ours, it could be a partner. And you will see us filling our roadmap and our product with all these parts on the spectrum. So to recap, an application model is scale out, a hardware model, which is uniform and also scale out. Finally, an operational model. An operational model that emphasizes application or service management, not server management. If you still have to go create VMs and patch them and wire them and do firewall roles and the like, it's not like cloud computing. That's more like hosting. That's more like I'm getting a bunch of machines and I'm doing everything by hand. You should worry about your business. And most people's businesses are doing other things other than computing, to be honest. They're doing business stuff. So do you want to be able to innovate in their applications? And do you be able to manage applications? And let the plumbing be done by others. We are plumbers. The others like us who are plumbers, some of you are also plumbers. We can do the plumbing piece, but let everybody else manage their applications. So when we speak of cloud computing, we speak of these 3 dimensions. And we speak of a new platform going forward. Before I leave the slide, it is extremely important for all of us to bring along our current existing assets to the cloud. So running existing applications, call them legacy, call them the existing stuff, is also very important. So not for today's presentation, but I can discuss with you offline. We have a number of technology to allow you to interconnect between on-premises and different cloud types, allow you to move your workload piecemeal, because frankly, not everything will move as is to the cloud. You're going to do a bit of re-architecting, reconnecting, and the like. And I'll mention a couple of those technologies in a second as well. Okay. I want to go through briefly what kind of products we have today in the market. This is not a future slide. This is what we have. Many of you probably are familiar with our client offering of Windows and Windows Server. We have and SQL on-premises. We have the counterpart in the cloud. We have Windows Azure, which I'll spend more time on in a second. Think of it as the operating system in the cloud. It's the cloud service in the cloud, where you can run basically what you can run on-premises, but in the cloud. There's also SQL Azure, which is a service, a database service. The big difference between it and, say, SQL is you declare the need for a database or a table, and it happens for you. You don't have to worry about managing SQL instances. You don't have to worry about replication or HA and the like. It's done for you. So it's a service. Above that layer, we have the application services layer. Again, there's a counterpart on-premises and one in the cloud as well. And this is, if you will, the application platform above that. Messaging goes in there, interconnection, identity, and so forth. And there are specific services available for the cloud a la carte that they can use separately or together if you want to. And again, I'll say more about them in a sec. Above that, we link everything together with a uniform way to program the infrastructure, which preserves investment of developers and tooling from on-premises to the cloud as well. Please note, the underlying pieces of the stack can run anything. You want to run Java, you want to run Eclipse, PHP, go for it. We also complement this thing with Visual Studio technology and .NET technology that is very, very uniform across the spectrum. And finally, we have a set of services. For example, SharePoint and Exchange, you can get them as a standalone service, buy them, run them through traditional means, or acquire them as a service online. And there are different ways you can acquire them, as a dedicated offering, a shared offering, or we even have a government-oriented offering as well. To put everything together, we have a complete stack tied together with a uniform system management infrastructure as well. You can pick and choose these components, and you can double-click in any of these boxes or how you can do things in there. But this stack is available today in various forms, and we have roadmaps for each one of them, of course. Next, I want to double-click on the Azure platform boxes, the Windows Azure piece, SQL Azure, and the Application Fabric pieces. As I mentioned, Windows Azure, if you want to think about it as an operating system in the cloud. It's the actual service. You can go and run your applications there. So there's a compute aspect to it. In industry terms, it's like a PaaS service with infrastructure services being added to it as we speak. You can optionally also use the storage services in Windows Azure. We have very, very large scale, highly available blob stores, basic tables and queues. And automation management is part and parcel of the platform. Any given workload you run on Windows Azure, be it a simple VM all the way to a fancy service, is managed by the automation services that are built in the platform. And it can do things like change the topology, change the size of it, react to events, etc. So the underlying platform is Windows Azure. I'll tell you more in a second on all the places we exist in the globe and so forth. We have SQL Azure. I mentioned that already. It's a database service. It distinguishes itself by being a service, so it's very, very easy to use. And it's basically SQL. So if you have a program that uses SQL, it will work with SQL Azure. Declare the table, and you go. And then we have the App Fabric set of technologies in there. And specifically, there's something for connectivity called Service Bus. Allows you to help you with messaging, interconnection between on-premises and the cloud, and a number of other services like that as well. We also have access services, access control services. For example, to do single sign-on in the cloud, and identity federation, so you can federate with your existing identity system, being Active Directory or something else as well. And as I mentioned, all these sub-boxes are a la carte. We can mix and match. You can run computation on some other hoster, if you will, and store data in Windows Azure. You can do the opposite. We have customers who do that, for example. And we tie everything together with a strong set of development tools. I'll say more about this in a second, but you can use Visual Studio, you can use Eclipse, you can use your favorite programming languages. We're quite agnostic in the platform itself. Speaking of development tools, there's an SDK. You can download it as we speak, plus a free development environment on your desktop. So you can effectively write most of those kind of applications and test them right now on your laptop if you're running Windows. We also have tools and plugins for Visual Studio and for Eclipse for PHP and Java. The experience is you go through a portal, you go through a process there. If you want to step up, there's a bunch of APIs, REST APIs. You can go script to your heart's desire. Today, we have an increasing, growing global presence. We are today in 3 regions and 6 sub-regions. This slide is up to date. The actual location, we don't actually specify it exactly, but you can specify when you create an account or do a deployment where you want to land, in North America, Europe region, or Asia Pacific region. And in each region, we have 2 locations far from each other for redundancy, and you have control over what belongs where and so forth. We also have a CDN network, which is integrated with the platform. So data you have in our storage subsystem can be distributed through a global CDN network, which is growing as well. And that CDN network, by the way, is also used by many other properties within Microsoft. So it's established and global as well. This picture is a point in time. We're increasing our global presence. I don't have a slide about pricing, but our pricing model starts from pay as you go, and we charge you for anything you use, but it's up to you what you want to use. We also have volume discounts and future pricing models that integrate with our on-premises pricing models as well. It's a deeper discussion, but all this stuff is available today, plus an SLA and the whole deal. So where are we in Windows Azure? Way back in October 2008, which feels like a long time ago, we had a technical preview of the system. It was free, 1 data center, simple application template, and so forth. Now we've come a long way. We are commercially released as of this year. We have consumption and subscription pricing with an SLA. We are available in a number of countries, many currencies, billing integrated with the whole system. As I mentioned, multiple geographical locations. And the services I mentioned, databases, connectivity, identity services. Very importantly, we have a rich partner community, which I will not pay it enough service today, but we rely on partners quite a bit to help us and help a customer get on board this platform. Lastly, we update this platform very frequently. I'm not going to give you a slide of all the features available today because it will be out of date very soon. But if you look at our history, we update the platform very frequently, and you'll see more and more features happening as we speak. It's a big investment for us. Customers are using the system. We had many before the commercial release. We have even more. If you check the Microsoft website, we have many set of, at least a couple of dozens use cases, and we're increasing the documentation there as well. So I want to summarize quickly. To us, the cloud is an important area going forward. We believe strongly in having a complete offering from on-premises all the way to the cloud. And we are investing heavily in this area. Virtually every product we do has some part of an investment with the cloud at the moment, either as an extension of the product or a connectivity to it or a moving to the cloud. And I'm speaking for basically virtually all the company here. We want to retain the power of choice. You decide based on your business needs, your compliance regulation needs, or your cost needs, where do your application want to live. You want to acquire software and run them yourself. You want to acquire software and go to a hoster. You want to go to a pure cloud model. You want to go to a hybrid model. We will fill the complete spectrum and give you the choice to decide where you want to live. We're talking about enterprise-class service here. Sometimes it's convenient to put something on the web and call it a cloud and we're done. We're not doing that. We are very methodologically moving forward up the stack and sideways with enterprise class services here. And finally, the partner ecosystem. We recognize fully that moving to the cloud is not a binary thing or all or nothing or a one-step thing. Instead, it's a process. And you do need to work with partners and with us in making that movement possible, if you will. And we also believe, as I mentioned, things will stay on premises as well. So you want the connectivity and the ability to manage the whole spectrum that way. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. Be happy to take questions, and I wanted to be on time. Actually, I went quick on today. So, any questions? Yes.
You mentioned a few times that your focus is on hybrid. I work in federal sector, so they would want to keep a lot of these services private. Do you have the Azure platform and services such as Office Online and the like that could be deployed to a private cloud?
His question is about hybrid models, private clouds, and the government in particular, and which of the products exist today. The Exchange Online services, the BPOS Exchange Online and SharePoint Online services, we have announced an offering geared at the government for that one. And it's going to be FISMA compliant as well. So that's our first foray to address directly the government needs. And that was announced, I believe, a few months ago. The rest of the platform will get there. We're not there yet. It will get there in a couple of ways. It will get there as potentially the same technology available on premises, so you can run your own clouds, or having offerings that have the appropriate compliance needs and the dedication, if you will. They can be controlled in a certain way for certain customers, particularly the government, multiple layers, federal and otherwise. So we have something today already for Exchange Online, for example, which is FISMA compliant, and you'll see more and more of our technology stack going there as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Here's a question. Yes.
Do you have any facilities for consultants and developers who might want to lead their clients into your facilities, but that might need some exposure to it to just see how it works, be able to dabble with it a little bit?
Yes, the question is about partners, consultants who want to have some exposure with the system to see how it goes and the like. We do have offerings available today, especially if you're an MSDN member, with some free number of hours and the like. And I would encourage you to take a look at the web page. There are a number of free offerings, both for the network bandwidth, computation, and there's a bunch of packages out there. And we keep renewing them, so I'm sure you can find something appropriate for you. Thanks. Yes? There. Sorry? You're speaking about the operational model and how you show businesses the value of the cloud, for example? We have today a TCO calculator available on the web page that fairly accurately models the system, and you can use it right now for free to get an initial feeling of, if you do a deployment this way, that way, what will cost you. That's one of the initial tools we have. We have other tools coming as well. For deeper engagements, we should talk because we also have a community of partners, first year, smaller partners and the like, who are engaged with us and the customers in having these dialogues at a deeper level as well. So you can go through the publicly available information, including a TCO tool, and you can, if you want to be more engaged with our partner channel. So, yes? A question about the mobile strategy and how it may change with something like this. I cannot speak for our mobile strategy in general, to be honest. But I can tell you that An important set of scenarios enabled by the cloud are basically such scenarios where you can do collaboration, sharing, and the like with access from any device, be it a mobile device or a laptop or a kiosk, whatever the case may be. My answer is very generic, as you can tell, but this is what cloud computing can really give you today. And with a global presence like what we have today, that's become more and more of a reality. For a more specific, say, Windows Mobile answer, I'm not the right person for this. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I understand there are two versions of App Fabric. What are the differences?
The question is about App Fabric, and there are two differences. It is true. The stack we have today on premises is slightly different than what we have in the cloud, and we are working to make them look the same. To be specific, the cloud versions are services that have to do with connectivity and have to do with access control and federation, whereas the on-premises version today is more of the hosting service for applications. Okay, and you'll see us basically making them available more or less the same between two sides. It's a bit confusing with the brand name, I understand. Okay, guys. Thank you very much, Dan. I'm available if you have any more questions.